Time to take a look at another of these deformable lights. This is one of these lights that's commonly available from China that comes sort of folded up, but you can fold it out to different angles and each panel lights up. So this one is supposedly rated 60 watts. I think one of my favourite features about this one, characteristic. Using high quality transparent mask irradiation area, high brightness, uniform light, no dark zone, but it's dustproof and mothproof. Well, it's anti-ventilation and everything, and it's got anti-seepage characteristic design. Does this mean it's going to shed water? I don't really think it will. But anyway, let's plug it into the hoppy. Let's get the socket on it first. Well, I'll just take this off momentarily to screw this on because it's quite a big and chunky light. It's going to be white. Not warm white, just white it says. Oh, it's a ferocious cold white. 48 watts. That's not bad. Power factor 0.5, which is what you would expect, but 48 watts is actually almost more than I was expecting because it says 60 watts on it, and quite often they don't really live up to their expectations. It's universal voltage, 85 to 265 volt. I'll take it back off shot again because it's a huge bulky thing, as I may have mentioned before. Let's get the hoppy out the way and let's open this up. Things I'm already seeing from the outside are these indentations in what appears to be plastic, suggesting two screws holding LED panels in. Let's try sputtering this open. I'm going to guess for a start that it may start opening by this bit here, so let's get the spudger into that and wheedle it open if we can. Maybe this is where it all goes wrong. Sometimes it does. Oh, that was a bit too easy. Huge array of LEDs. They are in parallel pairs. Oh, are they just parallel pairs? I think they're in, yeah, they are parallel pairs of 3 per section. What if I unscrew this? Oh, tight, super tight plastic. I'm going to have to get a proper manly screwdriver in for this one. Let's try this. Maybe a bit too big. Oh, that is very chewy plastic. That is quite tight. So hopefully this circuit board will reveal, oh, big screws, it will hopefully reveal the hinge mechanism here. There's not a lot of heat dissipation for a light that was dissipating about 50 watts, but having said that, it's only, well, 10 watts per section theoretically. I shall count the LEDs afterwards and do a quick doodle of what's in here. I want to see the driver as well. Is it going to be one driver per section? Because sometimes they do that. White knuckles as I grip this. What is this going to reveal? It's going to reveal the driver circuitry. And I see 2 coils. Here is the clamp that holds everything in position, and these have individual, oh right, the driver comes on with just like 2 pins. Is there anything to indicate polarity here? So it's got one common positive going out, and then it's got 2 circuits going through this to this and then up to the top onto the front. So that is like a part of every circuit by the look of it. And then it's got the other one going through the other 2 panels and then going out to the front. Right, tell you what, I'm going to try and get this out from here. Hopefully it's not holding charge or anything like that. Oh, it's glued in tightly. Right, tell you what, let's get one of these panels out. And we'll pop this open. Hopefully this is all staying in focus because it is a big bulky thing and they're not always the ideal thing for this bench area. Oh, hold on. I think I might be able to get a screwdriver down there and pop it out. Yes, indeed. Oh. And now down here maybe. These are tightly clipped on. Bit of major sputtering to go on here. I would be more careful, but when you've got the pressure of the camera running, you kind of want to accelerate things. That's kind of promising. Not a lot in here. We've got threes again. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 sections, so there's going to be 30 volts across this. There's going to be 30 volts across the next one, and then whatever there is in the front of the panel. Tell you what, just one moment please while I count some things and get that power supply out. And resume. Well, the circuit is divided into two distinct sections. There's a buck regulator chip and a inductor and a smoothing capacitor in the output, but there's a common bridge rectifier, and what's missing from this picture, because I took it off to reveal everything else, is a big fat capacitor up there, 400 volt, 47 microfarad, quite beefy. Things worthy of note, a couple of 510k resistors in series across that capacitor to discharge it quickly so the lamp goes out decisively, and also to pose a slight load to prevent the sort of strobing and flashing of the light if there's slight leakage in the switch wires. There is a very oddly coloured resistor. It's a 5-band. It's basically green, black, silver, gold, black. It's a fusible resistor. I'm guessing maybe one of these indicates the fusible status. It's quite an odd colour code, but in general, 5, 0, and then a divider or multiplier times 0.01, so it comes out at 0.5. So it's a 0.5 ohm resistor, which is quite low. I would have thought it would be quite a higher value resistor, almost like the 10 ohm type level. I guess ultimately because it's quite a high power lamp that they have to keep the resistor value low. These chips could not find them. I typed the number into Google, it came up a blank. Google didn't even find a single result, even for some unrelated item. But that's more or less it. Now, if you want to have a wee go at reverse engineering, here is the one side. Notice the discrete bridge rectifier. It's quite oddly laid out. And if you want to take a look at the other side for reverse engineering, I have flipped it round. It looks like this. Some of the components are kind of hidden between the inductors though. Right, tell you what, let's bring in the schematic and I'll show you half of the circuit, well a bit more than half actually. We have the incoming supply, we've got that 0.5 ohm resistor and then that discrete bridge rectifier based on those 4 diodes. That then has one big smoothing capacitor with the two 510k resistors across it. And then it feeds to pretty much identical circuits. It's got this chip, the 2FYL9V81G. I didn't find that at all. Let's zoom down this a wee bit further. Didn't find that at all, but it's probably either a rebadge of a standard chip. They all tend to copy each other. The positive rail feeds the LEDs, and the smoothing capacitor and another discharge resistor, 150k, is across the LEDs. The LEDs are all in parallel sets of 3, and there's 26 of those parallel sets. That is, it starts off from the positive. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets on each of the 2 circuits. And then it goes to 2 of these where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sets. So in total 26, giving a combined voltage of about 80 volts across those LEDs. Calculating that out, the King calculator, P equals IV, I equals P over V. Current equals the power, which was 48 watts, divided by that 80 volts. Gives a total current of 0.6, but that's 2 sections for the 48 watts. So divide by 2 equals 300 milliamps, which means that with the 3 LEDs in parallel in each section, it's going to be roughly 100 milliamps per LED. There's not much heat sinking. I don't think this lamp would actually last very long under the load, because this is quite a lot of power it's dissipating. 100 milliamps times about 3 volts, 300 milliwatts. It's a lot of power for a piece of plastic. I just don't think it's going to last that long. The rest of the circuitry is a standard buck regulator. It's got the inductor. If you look at the back of the circuit board for those inductors, you'll see that it's just, there are 4 connections for rigidity, but they're in pairs, so it's not like a transformer, it is an inductor. In use, the chip will pull this end of the inductor low, So this end will go low and that end will be effectively positive. Current will flow through the LEDs, then the chip will turn off. The current will initially be limited by the fact that that's building up a magnetic field. And then when it turns off, this end goes positive, this end goes negative as the field collapses, and it goes back through this freewheel diode and also charges the capacitor just for efficiency. So that inductor is actually operating both halves of when it's being turned on and off. That's more or less it. The two sense resistors, there's a 1.5 ohm surface mount sense resistor next to a 1.5 ohm through-hole resistor. Brown, green, 1.5, 0, and then there's a silver divider which gives 1.5 ohms. I wonder why they've used that. I'm guessing ultimately it's just to give them the options for, they'll put a fixed base surface mount one in, maybe they've got more choices in these ones, and that'll let them fine tune the value in parallel. There's the flyback diode for each one there. Flyback diode there, flyback diode there. And there's the little smoothing capacitors with their little sneaky resistor up there for discharging, and there's the other resistor across these capacitors. That is it. It's an interesting light. It's more about the style and the circuitry. The circuitry is fairly common, just using a common power supply and a common positive, and then like the two separate regulators and the negative. But unusual how they've split it across the front as well, but I suppose that makes sense. As I say, I wouldn't expect it to last that long, but you know what? It was an interesting lamp to take to bits. And fairly neat inside, just lacking that heat sinking. That is the only niggle I've got. It's another lamp destined to fail. Oh, if you wanted to make it last longer, which it's not very accessible, I think the best thing you could do is half the power of it by cutting out this resistor here, the through-hole resistor, easiest to cut and just lift one end, and that would theoretically half the power on the lamp. But there we go, interesting stuff.